And we're live. We're live, baby. Let's see. We're live on Twitch. We're live on YouTube. Let me see. I think that's it. I think we live on just Twitch and YouTube. Let me check. See if we live, man. Hey, welcome, guys. This is your host, Colombian Papacito. You know what I'm saying? So it's just me today, or for right now until Barco gets back. Yeah, man. About to do a little solo dolo episode. You know what I'm saying? I don't do enough of these, and I'm actually I'm about to start ramping this stuff up. I'm about to start doing a whole lot of solo dolo stuff. Today, man, I got an interesting topic, man. A little controversial. It's gonna piss you off, but it's just my own opinion. At the end of the day, it's my own opinion. I don't really deal with a lot of opinion-based things, so this is kind of one of those times where I'm gonna be very opinionated. I'm usually factual, logical, reasonable, and stuff like that, but now I'm gonna just talk my opinion. So today's episode is gonna be called "Don't Box Me In." And I said it to say this: when we're born into this world, right? We're told what to do. We're told how to behave. We're told what to think. You know what I mean? We're like, there's a lot of propaganda. There's a lot of agendas out there. And just in general, majority of the things you do in life are because of your environment, your surroundings, and things of that nature. When I say don't box me in, I'm saying more or less, thanks for yourself. So I had an interesting conversation not too long ago, a few hours ago actually, with one of the people that I just met. We had this kind of dilemma going. People think I had this dilemma going on with, my identity. I have like an identity crisis or whatever. But basically, what it is I don't believe in the concept of being black. I don't believe in that concept. I don't believe I'm black, if that makes sense. But let me explain. I also don't believe a white person's white. I also don't believe, like all these other concepts they have, that people make up, right? I feel like these people make these things up just to box you into like a specific profile. You know what I mean? So what I'm trying to talk about is basically I don't necessarily feel and identify with being black. I identify with nationality. I'm American. I fully believe that. But if you were to ask me, like, are you black? Or if you were to ask me, are you African American or something like that? Like, I would respond to you in the most logical way the most logical way to respond to that question is obviously yes. If we want to have a deeper conversation, we can talk about how I don't believe that stuff. So normally in those type of situations, I kind of just, quick answer is yes, whatever. Are you black? Yes, whatever. I don't like to identify with it. And I don't think we have to. Honestly, I don't think we have to as human beings identify with that. My grandmother, right? She's Native American, indigenous, right? She's always told me, she's always said this my entire life. There's only one race, and that's the human race. And I totally believe that. I totally believe that all my life, man. I never really understood the concept of people differentiating themselves by color. I never understood that concept. Like, and the conversation I had with this guy I met yesterday, one of my friends, he was saying, "Hey man, you're black." I was like, "How?" I was like, "How? Prove to me now I'm black." And he was like, "Well, when you when you're filling out an application and then it asks you all these questions, which one do you pick?" I was like, "Yeah, I understand what society tells me to pick. I understand that concept of it, but do I have to identify with that myself? No, I don't." And I asked him like, "Hey, so if you look at the pigmentation of my skin, what does it look like? Is it black or is it brown? Which one is it?" You know what I mean? Because my hair is black. So if my hair is not blending into my skull, clearly black is different than brown. You know what I'm saying? An actual black person would be of black skin color. Am I wrong? Am I tripping? You know what I'm saying? So, and then my friend was like, "Hey man, it's okay to be black. Okay, it's okay for you to think that way. That's fine. Like, but don't box me in. Don't box me into your beliefs. You know what I'm saying? If I have my own beliefs, if I believe in a certain thing, if I don't believe that I'm a black person, if I believe that my nationality is American and that's all I care about, then I don't have to identify with whatever society is trying to tell me to identify with, which in this case, I don't identify with being black." And I told people this all my life, and it rubbed a lot of people the wrong way. I think I'm running from something, or I have like some identity issues or something like that. But no, I'm not. I'm not running away from anything. I think that we are given our identity instead of choosing our identity. You know what I mean? So, in my whole concept of it, man, a lot of my arguments that I was saying with my friend yesterday, I was like, man, look, when I traveled to Colombia, right? Specifically Cartagena. And if you've been there before, you realize real quick that that's a very African descent, indigenous descent area. You know what I mean? When you travel and you go to all these other countries and you have conversations with these people, they don't identify with the skin color. They only identify with their nationality. Like, seriously, that's literally how people are in other countries. I think in America, it's a race thing. You know what I'm saying? Because obviously, the country was founded on immigration, voyage, and things of that nature. So it's a bunch of different group of people all in one. That's what makes America. You know what I mean? But when you go to like other countries, yeah, it's kind of the same concept. It's kind of the same concept, but they identify with exactly who they are. So when I talk to Colombians and they just say they're Colombian. Or if I ask for more specific, they say, yeah, I'm indigenous. I'm indigenous and I'm African descent. That's exactly what I am. I'm literally indigenous American, and I'm of African descent, but I'm American. So when I say like, hey man, like, yeah, you can identify with someone can tell you that you're black. That doesn't mean you're black. Because me telling you that you're black and you believe in it, that's fine. You can identify with it if you believe it. But if you don't, if you choose not to believe it, if you choose not to be boxed into a certain concept, then guess what? Now you have all the power in your own identity. Now you have all the power because when they box you, what society tries to do is they try to box you into this category, and we all have to, in some sort of way, identify with this category, right? And let's just say, I mean, it's obvious, black people in America aren't looked at as the best people, right? You know what I'm saying? We're not looked at as the best people. They typically, with black people believe that we're loud. People believe that we're annoying, always causing problems, aggressive, no ambition, things of that nature. And when you think about it, or like we're good, the only thing we're good for is being athletic and playing sports and stuff like that. Like we have no form of intelligence, you know what I'm saying? So that's why I don't like to identify with just a specific color, because what they try to do, they try to categorize you into this fucking color and make you believe that everything that this color does and all these people that identify with the same color, that you're a part of that group, which you don't have to be a part of that group. And you learn in your adult life, you learn very quickly that black people in the South do not behave the same way they do in the North, in the East, in the West. Everyone's all different. So that's why I choose to identify with my culture. I choose to identify with my cultures. My culture, Texan, someone who's from Texas, someone who has an indigenous background, someone who's very familiar with the southern side of America, you know what I mean? I rather identify with cultural backgrounds than a skin color, you know what I mean? Because guys, this is not black. Literally, my shirt has black on it. This is black. This is not. This is brown. And I don't see why that's such a hard concept to get, man. I don't see why. Like, and people want to identify with these things and then get mad when the things are used against you. Like, you want to identify with something, but then when it comes down to like you're in a situation, like let's say a cop pulls you over or something like that, and then the normal reaction for a cop and a person who's of darker skin color is to assume that that person might be aggressive. But if we all stop identifying with these silly concepts of white, black, you know what I'm saying, we don't have to worry about stuff like that. If we identify with our culture, where we're from, our heritage, our roots, I think half the racism problem will go. I think majority of the racism problem will go away. I think this is the reason why racism still exists now, because we identify with these things that people made up. Do y'all really think this stuff is like real? Seriously, these are all concepts. This is literally just fake shit that they put on you. They try to spin narratives on you, and you go your whole life believing in a certain narrative, and you got to prove everybody wrong that you're not the person that they think you are because of the way you look. You know what I mean? So I just choose not to identify at all. I choose not to identify with all, man. And I think this is a very powerful way of speaking to the youth. I think if you're under the age of 18, you're still in high school, you're still in middle school or whatever. If you're under the age of 18, learn now to not identify with skin color. Like, learn it now, because once you get into your adult life and you realize like that shit really doesn't fucking matter, it only gives you limiting beliefs. That's really all it does. It makes you so limited. It makes you so limited in your own brain to not want to do things that you're definitely capable of doing. You know what I mean? For example, swimming, right? When I was let me see. When I was in boot camp, right? Everybody knows this. People who have like darker skin color typically negative buoyant, right? At least 50% of us, right? So, and I'm kind of one of those people. Yeah, I'm kind of like I'm like in the in between. I'm kind of negative buoyant, but I grew up learning how to. I grew up teaching myself how to swim. So when it came down to it, we do this thing called swim call in the Marine Corps, right? We do this thing called swim call. So basically, what we do is we go to a pool, and then we have to do like certain laps, certain exercises, and as long as we complete the exercise, then we move on to the next stage. And then I think it's like 5 stages that we have to do, and then bam, we're swim call, and that's it. So a lot of times I would go to swim call with, obviously no one else is, dark like me, you know what I'm saying? And then everyone would just look at me and assume based off of a freaking skin color that I don't know how to swim. They would ask me other things, but hey man, do you need some help? Hey man, do I need to watch you? Hey man, you okay? Like you're okay with like doing this? And I'm like, yeah. Like why you keep asking me these questions? Like I'm good. Like I know how to swim. It was like, oh well, you just want to make sure because I have to make sure that I know who to look out for so no one drowns, you know what I'm saying? Because we got like 10, 15 people out here. I want to know who do I need to look out for the most, which I understand that. I understand that. But they only made that assumption based off of my skin color. Simple as that. And the thing is, it's just a skin color. You know what I'm saying? Typically, right, in those situations, people with my same skin color would fail swim call, right? They'll be horrible at swimming. They'll be drowning, can't float. Once they step in the water, they trying to hurry up and get out. All they can do is doggy paddle. You know what I'm saying? And I get that. I get that. A lot of people didn't grow up swimming. That's fine. I did, and just like any other person that knows how to swim, I pass swim call every time, flying colors. So it's just one of those things, man. Like if you're a kid, man, and let's say you want to do special forces, in the military or something like that, typically to qualify to be in those special forces, those special positions, you're gonna have to do some intense swimming. And typically that's what gets a lot of people that look like me. So, but if you take away those limiting beliefs, if no one ever told me that hey, your type of people always struggle with swimming. If no one ever told me that, I would have never known. I would have never known. You know what I'm saying? It's just that when people start to tell you things and start to label you and identify you with certain things, and then you end up in that situation, now you have the limited belief of like, damn, I might fail, or damn, I might not be as good as all these other people because of a skin color. You know what I mean? And I honestly thought about that. I honestly thought that while I was doing swim call, I'm like, man, like, they're really looking out for me, like I'm gonna drown or something like that. And I almost had like a limiting belief that I was not gonna pass. I think the hardest part for me is like floating. You gotta float for like 4 minutes, right? And obviously, if you're negative buoyant, it's hard for you to just lay there and float. You know what I'm saying? So I typically could float for like 3 minutes, and then after that, I'm just doggy pedaling. You know what I mean? I'm just doggy pedaling because I'm just trying to like stay above water. Yeah. I'm still floating, but I'm just staying above water right now. You know what I mean? So, but I think that because I did it for 3 minutes straight, I think that I got to myself in my head and I started believing in those limiting beliefs based off of skin color. And that's why I had to start treading water the last minute because no one else was treading water. Everybody else was just, floating, you know? And I was the only one, I was the only one with the darker skin color. Yeah, man. I don't like to identify with skin color, man. I think that's a good playbook on life. That's a good lesson to learn. You don't have to identify with your skin color. You don't have to do that. You can be whoever you are. You identify with your culture. Identify with your culture first. Then you will succeed in anything that you want to do. You won't have any limited beliefs. Yeah, man. I just wanted to do like a live stream about that, man. I just wanted to speak to that concept because I really think it's a dangerous way of thinking. I think it's a dangerous way of thinking. I think that's why racism is so bad here in America, which I wouldn't say it's too bad, but I would just say like it still exists. You know what I'm saying? Not that I go looking for it. I don't really care for it. You know what I'm saying? If someone's racist towards me, I really don't care. Like it takes a lot to piss me off. You know what I'm saying? It takes a lot to make me want to get triggered. But the only things that really trigger me are when people try to force you into a concept. That's what triggers me. That's one of the trigger things. You try to if I tell you that I don't identify with this, and you tell me, well, you are, you know what I'm saying, and you're trying to force me into a concept just because of your beliefs, that's when I get out. Now let's have a deeper conversation so you can understand logical thought and reason. And like I said, this is my opinion, right? This is my opinion. In no way, shape, or form can I prove to you guys that I am black or I'm not black, right? I can't prove that because it's just a concept. It's just something that's made up. That's why I say it's my opinion, you know? But I can prove to you that my skin color is not black. You know what I mean? But yeah, this is one of those things, man. I wanted to touch up on those things. But yeah, Too Easy Playbook, man. Like I said, I'm be dropping videos a lot more consistently, and what I want to do is ensure that I'm giving out the best advice possible. And who am I? You know what I mean? Who am I? Just a 28-year-old male, you know, 3 children, of course. You know, who am I, right? Who am I, a person to be telling people what to believe in and what to do next in life and stuff like that? But I do think that I am a person who experienced a lot of life up until this point, and the identity crisis was probably my biggest thing. That was my biggest thing, especially growing up. Actually, let me touch on that, right? So I grew up, right? When I grew up, man, I grew up in like Houston, the Houston area, but I moved around a lot because my childhood was a little hectic. But I went to this one school in Pasadena, Texas. So it's like a little side town of Houston. It's like a little one of Houston's a metropolitan, but it's like one of the cities in Houston. So I went to this school. I started living with my dad, and like the school was like predominantly Hispanic. You know, which I'm cool with. You know, like I'm cool with Hispanics, man. I love Hispanic people. Hell, the girl that I love and will marry one day is Hispanic, Colombian. But it was my first time really being at this school surrounded with nothing but Hispanic people, to the point where it's like, man, I can't even I couldn't even have conversations with everybody because majority of them spoke Spanish, and like they would not change their language just so I can listen or have a conversation or talk. You know what I'm saying? So it was a lot of things that it was a lot of adjustment that I had to make once I moved to that school. But I noticed that they would try to box me in. They would try to figure me out and box me in into this concept that I didn't even identify with. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm one of three, African descent people at that school. And they will always try to box me into this concept of like, oh no, you're good at basketball, right? Or which I'm terrible at basketball. You're good at football, or which I was good at football. You supposed to be walking like this, you're supposed to talk like this, man, you're supposed to be a part of the, do you gang bang and all this stuff? And I'm like, nah, dude, I'm just a normal guy, man. I don't understand. I don't understand why y'all thought that I was just affiliated with things like that. I'm just a normal dude. Yeah, just because I have a darker skin texture than you doesn't mean I'm good at basketball. You know what I'm saying? It's crazy. That's a crazy concept to believe. And these are kids, so clearly they were taught this. Someone was teaching them these things, and they already were familiar with these concepts in grade 7. Diabolical. You know what I mean? Very diabolical that children were familiar with concepts of, because you have darker skin color, you're good at basketball. Retarded, right? But eventually, so as a kid, right? I was a kid. I didn't really have a lot of control over like my own mind, and I was very influenced. So a lot of times I did try to identify with those concepts, right? A lot of times I would change up my voice. I would start talking like I'm from the hood, because I knew how to talk from the hood, because I was literally, when I lived with my mom, we lived in the hood. So I knew how to speak that language. I knew how to speak that lingo, but it wasn't me. So when it came down to it, when they wanted me to like, give them a little bit of a taste of like what it is to hang around a black person, as a kid, I would do it. And it would be so fake. And they will realize, after like a month or two, like, man, you're not even like that. You're not even like, that's not even you. You know what I'm saying? I'm more hood than you. You know what I'm saying? And they were right. They were right. I let them box me into this box to try, just so I can fit in, right? Because that's what everyone expected of me. They wanted me to be that way, but I didn't want to be that way. I didn't want to be a hood dude. No, not once. My parents just did not raise me that way. Like the same way I talk right now is the same way I talk at home. We always spoke proper English. It is what it is. Like, and then yeah, of course, like when you outside, you playing in the hood. Like there's a little bit of a dialect that you spin on certain things, and that's fine. But when you're at school and you're in a professional environment, you're supposed to be talking in a professional manner. So I struggled with that for a long time when I first moved to that school. It was an adjustment, and they literally wanted me to be something that I was not. And I would get into a lot of trouble, and and my dad would have to discipline me and tell me, stop trying to be someone that you're not. Stop trying to be someone that you're not. I remember that. I remember my dad would used to tell me that all the time. Stop trying to be something that you're not. And what he was saying is what he meant to say, right? What he should have said was, stop trying to be black because you're not black. Straight up. That's all he had. That's literally all my dad had to say, and I would have got what he was trying to say. But I never understood it back then. But I understand it now. Back then I was just like, man, I don't know what you're talking about. I'm a kid. Whatever. You know what I'm saying? I'm just messing around, whatever. These kids they want me to act a certain way, so I'm giving them what they asked for. I'm putting on a show. But when I would get into trouble with teachers and they would tell my dad what I'm doing and stuff like that, it will piss my dad off, because he's like, man, like, you acting like something that you're not. That's that, and that'll be the reason why I get disciplined. It wasn't because like I'm messing up. It's because I'm acting like something that I'm not. I'm really a good kid at heart, but because I'm being boxed into this concept, I'm acting like something that I'm not. Yeah, man. And that was it for this episode, man. That was it. That's all I wanted to talk about. Pretty much was just, don't be boxed in, man. Don't be boxed in. Like I definitely think that, if you want to believe, teach his own. You know what I'm saying? That's on you. But don't tell your child, like, don't do the whole thing where you try to influence other people to believe the same BS that you believe. You know what I mean? Stop. We need to stop influencing. You know what I'm saying? Especially stuff that's made up. Especially stuff that's like people came up with these concepts that don't make any sense. You know what I'm saying? Black, white. Now I get like Latino, Hispanic, or like if it's your heritage or your culture, I get that. Caribbean, you know what I mean? I get that. But I don't understand skin color, man. When you go to other countries, they don't understand it either. You know what I'm saying? They don't understand that. Like, they're like, what? Black? Why do why that makes no sense? I'm Colombian. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's how people identify with themselves in other countries. They identify with their nationality and their heritage. You know what I'm saying? And I feel like with black, right? And my only problem with not identifying with it, I feel like with black, it's just such a standardized thing. You know what I mean? It's just a standardized concept that comes from nothing. It's like they ripped all your freaking history away. All the history that, your indigenous background, your African background, your roots. Like a lot of us are mixed with other races, other nationalities too. And then they just say that you're this. Well, what does that mean? Like, you're trying to say I'm black, but what does that mean? Like, what does that come from? Someone's fucking dumbass brain. Or maybe a smart brain, right? It may be a play on words to get you to believe and to limit yourself. That's what I think it is. So I'm not going to identify with it if you don't. Yeah, man, it's been real, man. This is Too Easy Playbook, where I try to give you guys the playbook on life, and I try to give my best advice from the things that I've learned, from the things that I've seen. And man, yeah, man, I love doing this, man. I got some exciting videos coming up. We're gonna do some crazy, crazy stuff coming up, man. We're about to do a lot of reactions to some things. I'm definitely gonna be talking about investing in my next episode, my investment journey, and how I had to learn how to stop, how to take the money out when it's at the top. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, I'm gonna get into that on the next episode. But it's been real, man. This is Too Easy Plug. This is Colombian Papacito from Too Easy Playbook, man. I'm out.